So did you know that Arturia has just dropped this brand new plugin? It's called Mix Drums. It's completely focused on working with your drum bus. I guess mainly analog drums, but we're going to try it on analog and we're going to try it on electronic drums. So stay around to the end. Now we've already been really impressed with the output of Arturia this year. If you've seen my last videos that I did on all of the new synths that were brought out as part of the new V collection, now this has been added. This is something completely different. Yes, I know that Arturia's already got some dynamic plugins and some effects plugins, but this is completely written and driven for drum production. So let's jump in. This is called Mix Drums. They call it a transformative drum processor. Although I'm interested to see as well what it sounds like if we use it on other things that aren't drums. And this has been created or co-developed really with Emre, who's an amazing London-based producer and drummer. He's worked with Brian Eno and David Holmes, and I guess he does a lot of drum recording for people, and he's often delivering stems or stereo drum recordings. And he wanted something perhaps here that's going to allow him to do all the kind of cool stuff that he wants to do. Now, when you're working with drums and you're working with multiple microphones and you're processing all of them in different ways, often you can get things going out of phase and things can sound blurry and just a bit messy. My understanding is at the very heart of this is all about keeping everything in phase. So when you're adding distortion, you're playing around with your transients, you're EQing stuff, everything is locked in and it sounds nice and tight. And that's going to give you a really impactful kind of drum sound overall. So yeah, I guess that was probably their starting point here. I think the other thing as well is that what it does is, even though you're processing it and you might add distortion and gain to this, it doesn't change the peak value. It's just more about the perceived loudness that kind of changes with this. So let's jump over to it. Here I have it in Logic. And I've just got some drum stems playing here. I've got kick in, kick out, some overheads, room microphones, snare top and bottom, and some parallel processing. And I've got this kind of very roomy drum sound going on because I wanted to be able to play around with that with this particular plugin a little bit. And then on my main master, I've got the mixed drums here. So just very quickly having a look at what this plugin's got. We've got an input here. We can auto set the input of this. So as we play our track, we can hit auto set and it'll kind of make sure that any signal that's coming in, it's not distorting. I mean, we can, if we want, we can push that even further, or we can play around with this and get different results straight from the start if we wanted to. But you can just go to auto set and it'll set that for you. There's even a handy little lock here, which means that when you flick through all the different presets, which will do, it'll make sure to retain that input level, and so you don't get massive changes changing between the different presets. Very cool. We've got this low section here, which allows us to offer some kind of distortion to the low end, presumably on a kick drum. And we've got some transient that we can play around with on the attack and the body of that. We've also got a crossover that we can play around with for that. We've then got the mid-high section here. We've got some tape saturation, and we've got the level for that. We've then got this triode here. Well, it's actually some more distortion that you can change, and you can change this to like digital and wave shaping and do some really interesting stuff. And we've got a tone and tilt for that. Again, we've got some shaping for that. We've even got some effects. So we've got the ability to change this. Yeah, there's a little S here, so you can solo these as you're going through them. We've got some reverb, convolution reverb, delay, tape delay. And then within each of these, there's also things you can play around with here, where you can kind of do some ducking and gating and tremolo, and it's really cool. And then finally, you've got this EQ at the end, where you can even add some of this noise pre or post, which is like vinyl noise and stuff like that. And then we've got an EQ here at the end where we can play around with these a little bit more as well. So let's jump in and let's just have a quick play with stuff. I'm going to start with this mid section because I think this is where you'll hear some of the really interesting stuff going on. Now, the sound that I've got with these drums, they're quite roomy. There is some definition on the transients, but it's not massive. So what if I wanted to enhance that a little bit and retain the room sound? So, well, let's do that with this shaper here. So as I increase the attack, you should hear that straight away. Those kicks, the snares have got more bite to them now. Without it, with it, that's really extreme. And we can go into the negative. So we can really take them away. So let's just add a bit of that. That's brought back that bite straight away. Now in the same way we've got the body, which kind of lengthens out that sound. Or if we go in the opposite, in the minus, it's kind of gating it almost, isn't it? Let's just take that off. Bypassed. And with it, already really cool. What that's done is added the attack on the transients for me, and it's took away some of that extra room sound that I didn't want. Now I could add a little bit of tape to this and smoothing it off a little bit. Maybe I want to add some distortion to this. And we've got different distortions that we can play around with here. If we hit solo, so we're just listening to the mid-high section now. So this low section and the reverb and the EQ is not doing anything at the moment. And we can change where that distortion lands. So we can have it covering a wide range of frequencies actually. Let's bring back a bit of body so you can really hear what that's doing. Wow. And all of this is keeping everything phase coherent. Very nice. Let's try some different distortions here. Let's do some wave shaping. Why not? Yeah, okay. Let's go to howl. Let's see what that does. Just mad. Love it. Without it. With it. Now what's really cool about this is you might have all this distortion going on and that's great and you might like the sound of that, but what if you want some of those cleans to come back and sort of merge in with the distortion that you're doing? Well, over here we've got this clean highs and we can actually boost some of the clean coming back in of the high range. So these would be things typically like your cymbals, your hi-hats, and just add some of that clarity back in. Cool. Let's go to the low range here. And what this is doing, obviously it's focusing on the lower range here, like I guess our kick drums really. And what this is doing, it offers us the attack and the body again for that. Now you'll hear this better on headphones, or if you've got a decent set of speakers. This is really playing with that low end. Ooh. You can really hear the length of that. I should add actually the attack and the body for both of these transient shapers. There's a lengthen here as well. So you can lengthen the kind of transient attack of both the attack and the body section. So not only can you turn them up, but you can also kind of lengthen them. Now we can also add some distortion to this low end. Again, if you're hearing this on headphones, it's like really nice. We can add the dry signal back in. Just watching our signal here, you can see it by doing that. I'm overloading it a little bit. Maybe that's something you want to do. You know, maybe you want to go for that. And then when you add that back into the mid and high, whoa. Seriously, on speakers, that kick, that is big. And I've got all this brightness and definition of the top end. I can change the balance, the level between the mid-high and the low. Nice. That's a big drum sound. And that would have taken me like ages to get there if I wasn't using this plugin. I'd have had to use like multiple distortion, compression, limiting, transient shapers, you know, loads of different things. All of them adding different amounts of delay or not delay compensating correctly or putting things out of phase. It's all doing it here. This is a drum sound that I really kind of like. All right, let's have a little bit more fun with this. Let's go into the effects. So yes, we have reverb, and you can make that massive. And yes, it's the kind of reverb that you would expect from Arturia. It's very high quality, it's luscious, it's big, it's huge, I love it. There's a convolution reverb. It's kind of more natural sounding. There's a delay. Now you can change the sync of these as well. And there's over on the right hand side here, when you change your effect, you can actually then get to your sync time, put things a little bit on and off by using the fine adjustment there. Width, so they're kind of in the left and right now. We can add ping pong to that as well. So you can just dial that in wherever you want it, which is really nice. But, oh yeah, so up here as well, we can apply that only to certain frequencies as well. So that delay's now only on the kind of top end. Tapping away there. Really cool. Or put it over the whole thing. And if you do put it over the whole thing, and you might find, oh, I kind of like that, but it's getting in the way of things. Well, you can go over here, turn on dynamics, and you can use this ducker, or this tremolo and gate. We'll stay on ducker, and essentially what that will do, it will duck depending on what source you feed it. So let's go to the low, so we're feeding it the kick drum. So what will happen is whenever it receives that kick drum, it'll duck the delay out the way. I've done that quite hard, that ratio, 10. So it's only there now on the snare. Really cool. And you can do some interesting stuff with this as well. So let's put this back to reverb. You can hear it ducking again there. Really cool. But if we change this to tremolo, and let's solo, just so you can hear what's going on here. You've got these kind of creative effects you can do with that. And you've got different wave shape of the tremolo as well to play around with. You know, that might be something you want. And there's gate. So again, if we play around with this, now you get in your kind of gated reverb stuff. And again, you could just apply that to the top end there if you want. Really nice. And then finally, we've got the EQ. Now this EQ comes right at the end of things. And it allows us to, let's just turn this back here. So with the EQ, we've got 3-band, fully sweepable. And for each band, you've got the second band's kind of a bell, and then the first one you can change to, you've got the choice of bell, or you can go into low, or you can do the opposite on third band as well. So that's all quite cool. We can add some thumping. So this is adding after the effects, after the distortion, after the transient shaping. Wallop. And then this is really interesting. I don't know why they've done this. It's a kind of creative decision, I suppose. And maybe they're doing it, you know, maybe you've recorded stuff with noise on and you want to kind of match it somehow. I don't know. But what you can do is choose pre or post here, and you can add some effects. So you can add like vinyl and machinery and preamp sound. Listen. Hear what it's doing there. Now, my understanding, because I've got it on pre, it's actually interacting with the sound a little bit. It's not just laid on top. It does that if you put it on post. It lays the sound pretty much on top. But if you've got it in pre, that vinyl is now interacting with your sound. So it's really kind of creative tool. What else we got? Mic preamps, Telefunken. And it breaks up when, you know, the kick or the snare arrives. Machinery. Yeah, right, let's put a fan on. And some tape hiss. And I quite like this. You know, I didn't think I would, but I do. It's like a creative option. It's really nice. If we put it on post, you hear it's just sitting on top a little bit more. If we put it on pre, you can hear it's interacting with that EQ. It's moving around a bit more. Really nice. So if we want more of our body back, just turn the noise off for now. Now that's a massive drum sound. Very happy with that. Play around with the distortion crossover. Cool, so there we go. That's basically what it does. They're all the different options that you have. That's it on acoustic drums. Let's try it now on some electronic drums. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, by the way, please do hit the like, subscribe, and all of that. It really helps the channel grow. I'll also be doing a second video of this where I'm just going to do a patch flip and just go through all the different presets and just hear all the different things that it's doing. So do go check that one out, and I'll put a link to it here or down there or something. All right, so here's a simple electronic beat. Just pulled it in from the Apple loops, just random. Kind of low subby 808 kick. Some noise on the hi-hats. Sort of gated clap. And I'm just going to put that same preset that I just designed for the previous drums on this one as it is. So here it is. Without it. With it. Yeah. Love what it's doing to that low end. Let's go just from scratch. Let's do the auto set. So that's done that for us. And yeah, let's start here with some transient shaping. Smooth it out a bit with some tape. And then let's go and put some germanium distortion on here. Hear that already breaking up a little bit nicely. And then on the low end, let's solo that. Really giving that kick drum some girth. Again, you hear that better on headphones. Let's put them in together. Now, I've already sort of distorted that, dirtied it up a bit. Very polite without it. More attitude there. Can roll that back a little bit. Nice. And yeah, let's put some effects on. Why not? Try the tape delay. And yeah, let's use that ducker again, because that's really useful. And we'll drive it from the kick drum. And maybe the hi-hats are a bit too pronounced. And I'll make that actually into a bell. Play around with that feedback, that's quite cool as an effect. Nice. Do we want some noise in there? Maybe some radio hiss. So without it. So yeah, I guess you could use this on electronic drums. Why not? I mean, all the processing applies to electronic drums in the same way as it does to the acoustic ones. Although, you know, it's gonna react differently. If you're using acoustic drums and you might have more room sounds to play around with, this is gonna react in a different way. If you're using electronic drums and they're just clean and dry, just recorded in, you know, line level straight to a desk or DI'd or whatever, then yeah, it's gonna react and respond a bit differently. But there's no reason why you can't use this on electronic drums. In fact, I bet there's no reason why you can't use this. Turn the feedback down. There's no reason why you can't use this maybe on, I don't know, a group of vocals might be quite cool. I'd love to hear it on some guitar bus and things like that. So I think I'm going to try that out. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this, do hit the like and subscribe. I'm going to try this particular plugin out on some different instruments like guitars, bass, vocals, and see what happens, because to my mind, even though this is called mixed drums and it works brilliantly on drums, particularly acoustic drums, I want to see this in action on other stuff. Also, go check out the video that I've done on this, where I'm just going to do a patch flip and just go through them, and you can hear what all the different presets sound like as well. So yeah, go check that one out. Thanks for watching, and nice one, Arturia.